Okay, good evening. Earlier today, officers from the Fairfax County Police Department's Sully District responded to an incident involving a school bus that was transporting children from Murch Elementary School in Washington, D.C. The students were returning from a field trip from Cox Farms in Centerville when the driver drove off the road and struck a rock which damaged his rim and flattened his rear tire. Staff members were eventually able to get the driver of the bus to stop in a parking lot in the 15,000 block of Conference Center Drive in Chantilly and call 911. The school bus was carrying 44 children and 4 adults. A second school bus stopped with the damaged bus. The children and staff were all checked by Fairfax County Fire and Rescue personnel. The children were then transported to the Fairfax County Criminal Justice Academy in Chantilly. This facility trains new police officers for the Fairfax County Police Department, the Fairfax County Sheriff's Office, as well as police officers for the towns of Hernan and Vienna. The students were able to play in the gym with recruits and staff from the Criminal Justice Academy, as well as the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department personnel that were on scene. Troy Reynolds, 48, of Oxon Hill, Maryland, drove the bus that went off the road. The officers who responded quickly realized that Reynolds smelled of alcohol. Reynolds was arrested for driving while intoxicated and transported to the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. While at the jail, Reynolds was tested and had a blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, of 0.20. The legal limit for BAC in Virginia is 0.08. Reynolds was charged with driving while intoxicated, second within 5 to 10 years with a child, and 9 counts of gross, wanton, or reckless care for a child. He was held on no bond. The Fairfax County Police motor carrier safety officers inspected the other buses on the trip and placed both of those buses out of service for safety violations. 2 additional bus drivers were also cited for not having valid commercial driver's license. What began as a very frightening experience for these children ended in a great experience to interact with our staff. Our recruits got to experience creative and impromptu problem solving that they will soon be facing upon graduation. A field trip to the farm ended with a second field trip to our academy. Our officers were all too happy to host this group of children and adults on a day that didn't go as planned but ended in smiles. Thank you.
Ma'am, can I ask you just a quick follow-up? Could you go over, so there were 2 buses, obviously the one was involved and the person was arrested, but both had safety violations and both also didn't have proper commercial licenses. Did I hear that right?
That's correct.
Could you just...
Yes.
How many buses total, 2 or 3?
So there were 2 buses on the original trip. When the one bus was out of service because of the damage, they did request an additional bus from the company that services Washington, D.C. public schools. And so when that bus arrived, our motor carrier safety officers determined that that driver also did not have the correct licensure to be driving that school bus with those children.
So did that make it 3 buses?
So 3 buses in total, 2 original buses, and then the one that came to replace the damaged bus.
So the replacement and the other one that wasn't in the accident were the ones that didn't have commercial licenses?
Correct.
So all 3?
All 3, correct.
Okay.
The one who also was drinking also did not have a license.
That's correct, yes.
What company is this?
I don't have the company's name right now, but I'm sure we can provide that to you later.
Is there a charge for that? Is that, I would assume that's a citation.
Our motor carrier safety officers are looking at placing additional charges on the bus driver that was arrested for DWI, Reynolds, and they did place some charges, summons releasable, on the other 2 drivers.
Were there children in the second bus, or that was just empty?
There were children in both buses. The second bus that had the children on it was not involved in the incident or being damaged in any way.
Okay, so the bus that was involved, 44 children, 4 adults or teachers?
That's correct.
Okay.
It sounds like adults can see he should stop driving. He blew a tire and should probably stop, and they had to try to flag him down. Can you explain that?
Correct. The staff realized once he had driven off the road and caused that damage to the bus that something was wrong, and so they were able to get him to pull over again in the 15,000 block of Conference Center Drive, and they immediately called 911 to request police assistance.
Is it fair to say the teachers are the heroes in this situation?
Absolutely.
So these were probably serving as chaperones, I would assume teachers,
They were all school personnel from the Murch Elementary School.
and they were physically on the bus.
That's correct.
Correct.
Where was he drinking?
I don't have that information. Again, that's something that our officers are still looking into. Nothing was located on the bus. Our motor carrier safety officers did full inspections of the bus to include an inventory. And again, nothing was found on that bus.
Because that's a lot of alcohol,
Correct.
and there's no alcohol at Cox Bar, I might ask.
I'm sorry?
They don't serve alcohol there.
Correct.
So he must have had it on the bus, one would assume he had it on the bus with him, or he stopped somewhere?
Again, I don't know that information right now. All I can say is that at this time, we know that there was nothing found on the bus when our officers did that inventory and inspection of it.
Is there any thought, ma'am, that he was intoxicated driving the children to the field trip?
Again, I don't have that information. I do know that as soon as that school personnel realized something was wrong based on the driving behavior of him driving off the road, they immediately worked to get him to stop and call 911.
And at least lastly for me, from the point at which he hit the rock to where he stopped the vehicle, how long did he continue to drive approximately?
I don't have that approximate distance. It's not a great distance, but again, they worked to get him to pull over as soon as they could get him to pull over.
And the distance from Cox Farm to the scene of where he hit the rock, that's not far either, is it?
It's not far, no.
I don't know, I don't want to ask you to speculate in a personal manner, but I guess I do, actually. So you had 3 buses or bus drivers that failed these kids. What kind of danger were they in? What do you make of this situation?
Yeah, it's obviously a very concerning situation. We expect our children to go to school and come home safe every day, to include if they're on a field trip. So this is very concerning, and I believe this is something that the DC Public Schools are going to be taking very seriously. So.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you mentioned, do you have an age range of the students again?
They were in elementary school, so.
And then I'm sorry, you said he was in his 40s?
Yes, I believe so.
And from Maryland?
Correct.
Can you give approximate numbers of the student in the bus during that time?
There were 44 students on the bus and 4 adults, and this is the bus that was in question. Altogether, we hosted 93 students and 8 staff members at the Criminal Justice Academy.
I might have said this, but for how long? How long did it take to finally get somebody to come get him that was qualified to do so?
It took several hours and a lot of coordination between both DC Public Schools and the Fairfax County Public Schools and Police Department.
And I'm sorry if I'm repeating, who actually took him home then?
We did coordinate with the Fairfax County Public Schools, and DC requested assistance through them, and so we provided 2 buses that transported them back to the school.
Okay.
Sorry if I missed that.
So they were put on Fairfax County Public Schools buses back into DC?
Correct.
And then, do we know what the safety violations were for the buses?
I don't have those in front of me, but we'll make sure that you have them before you leave.
Thank you.
Any last words, just today's situation and the turnout, the outcome?
We're very grateful that nobody was injured seriously. Again, medics checked everybody out, and we're just very fortunate that this situation ended the way it did, and that this driver was taken into custody.
Fairfax County detention, correct?
That's correct, yes. Any other?
Did you say if he has any previous driving problems?
So this is his second charge within 5 to 10 years. That's what the specific charge for the DWI was. So he has been arrested previously for DWI.
You probably don't know if that means does that disqualify him for having a license to drive cars?
So his privilege to drive in the state of Virginia, I believe, is revoked, DWI related, if not suspended. So he can't drive in Virginia for sure.
Thank you.